Mode.
Good morning, everybody. This is Michael Robbins, and I'm just welcoming you on behalf of Tuija, who will be presenting the program largely, and I'll be here also.
On behalf of us.
Okay, on behalf of us then. Okay, this is a special program. We every other week or so, we've been getting, excuse me, into the academics of the Triangles work. We always have our Triangles broadcast in which we do our Triangles meditation and revitalize our own little Triangles network and relate it to the larger network. But inasmuch as there has been such a tremendous difficulty in certain countries in Africa, famine in South Somalia, and tremendous food shortages in Nigeria and Yemen, and what's the other one to you? I have, anyway.
Yemen, Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan.
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, these are the areas that are terribly threatened, and especially the children of these areas, excuse me, pardon me, the children of these areas are threatened, and hundreds of thousands are at risk, and maybe in the millions. So being esoterically inclined, and that's where our understanding and our power lies, we thought to dedicate this particular Triangles program to working behind the scenes, trying to understand certain principles that have brought this condition into existence, and our own responsibility in our own lives as regards the principle of sharing, which DK constantly emphasizes. If you'll read his, look up the principle of sharing on your Alice Bailey CD-ROM, you'll see it so often occurs. So I would like to welcome you. We both would like to welcome you, and we have some, 35 of us here so far. For some people, it's the wee hours of the morning, and I just really thank you for the people in South America who are joining us at like 2 and 3 a.m. and so forth. That's very good of you. So I will turn this now over to Tuija, who will show us some images and say some things, and I'll be around to be of assistance. And let us see what we can do subjectively to work on sending in the energies which will help to relieve the situation. It won't give way just to one meditation or one concentration, but we have to be aware, and we have to hold this in our mind and see if we can help with the resolution of this terrible situation. Okay, Tuija, you can go ahead then.
Yes, good morning to everybody. But before, Michael, you go, I wish you find the quote from Dinah 2 from page 329, and it starts from If the Principle of Sharing. I would like you to read that. That is.
Are you sure? 329. So what I'm going to do, I don't seem.
And I am just saying, while you are finding that, I'm just saying good. To Annette, Beverly, Bibi, Carl, Dacia, Deborah, Diane, Eha, Francois, Helena, Iris, Joe, Joanne, Joyce, Karen, Lori, Lynn, Marianne, Martha, Michael, Nicolaus, Olivia, Regina, Risto, Ron, Stacia, Stella, Susanne, Terence, Vera, and Winnie, and maybe all of those who have been coming in between, we all welcome you warm-heartedly. So, and I try to see, is this image changing? Yeah. So this work that why we were thinking, and what I am now constantly thinking, because for me it is very significant idea that the three Buddhas of activity can use the triangle work or triangles in the case of emergencies. We don't know if this is such a case, but it is certainly a huge emergency in Africa. It has been already several years, but now we can say that there is, when we think about all of those countries, and of course when you think about the borderlines, the famine is not following the borderlines. It is all over. There has been a huge drought, and it is said that this emergency again is man-made. How we operate blindly, and we don't understand that this is only one little planet. We do things which are affecting on the other side of the planet, and only the science is bringing for us this understanding how dangerous is the situation here and there on our little globe. And now one part of that climate changing is hitting African area, and that's why there has been drought for several years, and it has become overwhelming and out of the hand. And that's why we need also us, we have to step in and try to do all we can. We have to talk about that, about the ideas, but mainly why I wish us to think very seriously and very practically that the triangles seem to be those which can be really used and stimulated, and support the idea that we could talk about the importance of the triangle work as well. So Michael, did you find the quote? Is Michael there?
Yes, I am here. I am here.
Did you find the quote?
Yes, I found this quote on page 329 of
Yes,
discipleship, and I assume to read to the end of the paragraph, okay?
I don't have that in front of me, but if you read from the principle of sharing, start from there, and you can
Okay.
Read somewhere there in the limitation or something like that.
Okay, I understand.
And the idea comes clear.
Okay, and I can show that if I should, or maybe it would be a little bit easier if I do show that.
Yeah. Yes.
So, all right. So here goes. I'll make myself temporarily here the presenter, and I will show this. Okay. So here we go. If the principle of sharing has any significance whatsoever, these are points of great importance and are supremely worthy of consideration. Now he gives an illustration. An illustration of this can be seen, this is about us as disciples, you see. An illustration of this can be seen in the response of this group work to the work which I have asked you to undertake over the years. So this is going to evoke our sense of responsibility. A tiny handful of you have responded and have made sacrifices and have worked hard to further the triangle work, to spread the invocation, the great invocation, and to help in the goodwill work. But it is a very tiny minority. The rest have either been interested intellectually, but could not make the needed sacrifices, or they refused to put first things first, and secondary issues occupied their lives. This limitation, as you may realize, has handicapped the ashramic plans. And those who wholeheartedly have worked, and I know who they are, have had to share with pain and distress in the limitation. So is that sufficient to you? Or do you want further statement?
Do you think that one should be reading that? Because I have been only
Okay.
with quotation until that, but we can see the point what he is making
Yes,
in
exactly.
this.
Cooperation and real adhering to the important service activities that the Tibetan has put forth, one of the foremost of which is the triangle's work. So now I'll go back here and your screen will appear.
I think the importance here was that what he says, that a tiny handful of you have responded and have made sacrifices and worked hard to further the triangle work, to spread the invocation and to help in the goodwill work, but it is a very tiny minority. I translate that because there are few Finnish people. Eli tässä luettiin DK:n huomiota kolmiotyöskentelystä ja hän sanoi, että pieni kourallinen teitä on vastannut ja tehnyt uhrauksia ja tehnyt lujasti työtä kolmiotyön edistämiseksi, invokaation levittämiseksi ja hyvän tahdon työn auttamiseksi, mutta se on vain pieni vähemmistö. And because he is all the time pointing out how important the triangle work is, and of course I have been saying that many times that I understand that because this is going to be the future way of functioning. It is so straightly related to how the soul is functioning, and that's why we should be all the time having that in our minds, that the triangle work is something what we should support. Every one of us, we should have at least one triangle. So I am just showing if there is anybody who does not know where is Finland. So here is Finland under the arrow, and here we are talking and this webinar is coming. But anyway, here is then the map which is telling about these 4 countries. South Sudan, which is now coming into the awareness of in the West, I suppose so, but there has been already several years the drought and the alarm going on, but now it is coming and reaching such a high numbers that it is really a danger for millions of people, and especially little kids, and we look very soon. Then we have Yemen, Somalia and Nigeria. In all of them there is this immediate danger, but around the middle Africa, because of the drought, that is causing one of the main reasons, because there is absolutely no water for animals, for anybody, and also not to grow anything. And also the I am getting a notice that I am maybe experiencing the difficulties.
No, it's okay. Just go ahead. You're loud and clear here.
So now, when we think about the South Sudan itself, it is just told that 40% of the population, which means about 5 million people, is in need of urgent humanitarian assistance. And the other countries has also millions, so there are several millions people at the moment who needs help. I was thinking that just to us to look these images and to look in that sense that we try to imagine However you imagine, how much is 5 million people who are in immediate need only in South Sudan. We have, I have some facts here. I try to tell you some numbers. Nigeria has in immediate need around 120,000. Somalia 12 million people. Yemen about 4 million people. So how much is that? It is, and I don't have now from Nigeria how many children, but it is said that in Somalia about 50,000 children in immediate need, and Yemen over 2 million children. And we have mothers here, and we have fathers here. So let us all try to imagine if we would have this kind of little baby on our arms, how we would be feeling. Because I think that the feeling vehicle for us is now one of the key things to really feel the need. How would it feel to have this kind of baby that you don't have milk anymore in your breasts, or you cannot have water, you don't know what to feed? And this image, this is actually a mother. And if you look those breasts, because when I saw this image, I was looking that there is a man, but this is a mother. And this little baby who is there on the ground, and you see the hips and these muscles, but there is only hole. So how many millions are crying now because of famine, but the whole situation in the world, how many millions of children are now crying for help? And that, what the drought is causing, is this also heartbreaking situation that there is no water for animals or something to eat. So that much we know, that in this kind of areas the animals are like it is for us the money. When the animals are dying, there is no way for families to survive either. And when this situation is in the villages, people start to try to find somewhere the better conditions, and that's why millions of people are now moving on our planet. Because of the war, because of this situation caused by the drought or some other natural reasons that the nature is causing. So we see that there is chaos on our planet, and that is really not some one group, but many groups are now trying to find their ways to survive. And these little, our brothers and sisters, the first thing is, of course, to try to get something to eat that one could move forward. So in few ways I was just putting some ideas, and I think we would then discuss what can be done. So when we think human activity, everyone has to take action. In every single country we have to take action. We can send petitions, emails, and try to make other people to be aware. We have been creating great system how the information can flow. It's done. But we have to also show our will. Get involved. But then, in spiritual activity, for us it is important to understand the power of triangle work, and in one sense it is our responsibility. We have to understand the power of invocation, that it is our duty to invoke. The triangle work belongs to the new coming science of invocation. We will sound the great invocation today together as well, but anyway, to be a part of this great cooperation between the higher worlds, the worlds of the souls, and then us who are here. We must send the spiritual demand that we demand the change to come for better for everyone. And of course, we must be truthful in our meditation work, that we do it properly every single day. And again, I will end to this point that those great ones in Shambhala can use us, can use this triangle work. But of course, if we don't do that properly, then we don't have this vehicle what to use. So let us make sure. We cannot see is that from the perspective of the great ones, that kind of thing that we should be used and can be used. But in case, doesn't matter, we have to make sure that our vehicle is ready to go when it could be used if needed. So Michael, do you want to say anything to that? Shall we discuss now with the group with ideas how you would be wanting to go on?
I think you have illustrated the tremendous need, and we have to understand the power of our subjective work, which does not mean that we do not contribute tangibly to the reliable Red Cross efforts and so forth to bring the aid. But the great problem here is the human attitude, the greed that rules so much of the world, instead of the principle of sharing. And we know what the Tibetan has said here about the principle of sharing, basically that the Christ cannot come unless this principle of sharing is activated, along with a measure of peace, and of course the spiritual and esoteric groups cleaning house. So there's a whole new economics which under the seventh ray and under those seventh ray initiates of the first degree who are coming in to straighten all this out has to take the place of this tremendously glamored and illusory egotistical attitude where we, as powerful human beings, some powerful human beings, try to gather everything for themselves. The whole aspect of distribution is lacking, and we know that the Aquarian age is the age of distribution above all, and there can be no health unless there is right distribution. So somehow, working subjectively, we have to see spiritually the distribution occurring. We have to feel it occurring in terms of love and goodwill and light and caring for the other aspects of ourselves who are all our brothers and sisters in humanity and eventually all forms of life on our planet. We have to do that, and we also have to envision the thought forms of solution. So, you've seen a few things here. You know the situation. Maybe, Tuija, I don't know, maybe anybody would like to
I was
offer.
thinking that let us take few ideas from the people, from our group, and then I have these quotes about sharing, few quotes that we have been collecting.
And then we'll also...
So if there would be any... I'm sorry.
And then we'll direct some energy into that situation.
That's right.
We have to do that. So if there's anybody that would like to offer a thought about this situation, the causes of the situation, the solutions for these kinds of terrible imbalances that are occurring in the world, everything is out of order in terms of balance, and we have to subjectively try to restore that. So you're most welcome to raise your hand, and we will call on you if you'd like to speak, or if you have a question or statement. Brett can notice that, and we'll see that and try to address your thought. So you can do any one of those things. Raise your hand to speak, or write something out in the question area below, and we will just to get your thoughts. And then we'll go on and have some quotations about sharing, and then we'll do some brief meditation here. I mean, those are shocking pictures, obviously, and any one of us in our own relations, if we had those kinds of relations, it's devastating, obviously, and we are responsible. We are responsible. If we waste, we are responsible. If we... Yeah, go ahead, dear.
Yes, I was just thinking about that because this is only one humanity. And in that sense, we belong to that one entity which is called humanity. And the effect which is coming from any of us, that is this butterfly effect, that we are not separated, we all belong to this destiny which is called humanity. We all are part of it. And what we can do. Is there any other ideas, for instance, from anyone who would like to share this with the group? Well, I don't see...
Wait. Here's something.
Okay.
Nicholas in Greece. Hold on. Nick, go ahead, please. And take yourself off self-mute. You're a little bit on self-mute there, so you can't be heard until you eliminate the self-mute. There you go.
All right, yes. One thing is that in modern times that the states are more organized and the borders are more carefully kept. People are not able to travel easily. And I suppose that such phenomena like this famine have occurred in human history, but at that time if you can think that people were less, the population was smaller on Earth, and second, people had the chance to move. This is the story, the Bible story, if you remember. When they were, when they needed to, they could move from one side of the earth to the other side in order to find a solution to their problems. So one of those is that people cannot move easily from the location where they are stuck. Also is depicted on the immigration issue today. It is a matter of that there is not much space, and it is very well kept and preserved. So it has to do with possession. A basic thing in the principle of sharing is the fact that one has to start educating himself in order to set himself free from what he is considering possession. And this is deeply spiritual. It has to do with the deeply rooted agonies and concerns about one's survival. This element is very, very, let's say, connected to the kingdom, to the animal kingdom. So there is a need of strong education all around the world. If you see, for instance, what people are doing, what are building in order to ease this tension, this agony of them. For instance, let's see what is built in Dubai, those monstrous buildings and but it's not only Dubai, it's just a matter of speaking because it happens to be close to the area, not for any other reason. People, so we tend as creators, because us humans are creators, we are creating the body of humanity if we see it from one specific perspective, and this body is in process of creation. It is not as the physical body of our own selves, but the body of humanity's civilization. If we see this, at this point we are creating monsters because we are captured by this principle, this agony, this rooted agony from the animal nature of our psychism.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's important to see something like this.
Yeah, I think it's very important, Nikolaos, the fear. The ingrained fear, which is part of the animal kingdom and which makes us try to fortify ourselves against death, starvation, and all the things that can happen. And meanwhile, the principle of love and goodwill is stunted, and we only care for ourselves. It's a selfishness at the root of the whole thing, and that is the mistaken identity. We're working in the glamour group on the glamour of egotism, where we're concerned only with our own small personality. And you're quite right, education must come. And, well, the whole political structure, the economic structure, the religious structure is working against the solution to these problems. And these things have to be alleviated. We have terribly selfish politics. We have greedy economics, and we have separative, hateful religious acts, and all of that is preventing the solution the way it could be. Thank you very much, Nikolaos. It's very good points.
Yeah, this point of education, I think, as DK was pointing that out, is the key thing in humanity. And when also the ability to read is established, when we think about the African countries, for instance, that there can be only under 20% of population that can read, or even less. So then we know that so many things to be done first on the list is huge, and that's why the goodwill is needed our hearts has to be open. Then Susan was asking, do you have any suggestions for particular useful charities to support at this time? I have one list, only few, but every one of you in your own countries, you can go via the line of the Red Cross or UNICEF, but also the local or charities in your own country that you can check and look that the support is really going through. That is important us to do.
I think we have to remember about Red Cross that Master DK is actually behind that in many ways.
Right.
Yeah, so I think we can put reliable charities, yes.
Yes. So I am just putting forward, we already started about sharing. If we don't have now
any other thoughts that you want to any other thoughts you want to offer?
Maybe we will go through these quotations and then we can share about this. So the help has been started. There is some around 90 million which were immediately going, and it has been it is raised all the time, but still is needed. Oh, I had some numbers here, but I will tell you when I find them how much is needed, but billions are needed at the moment. So it really means that it is the emergency call throughout the whole planet to help now in the sharing that that little kids would have at least something to eat.
You may remember, Tuija, that when President Eisenhower was leaving office towards the end of his term as president, he talked about that feeding the industrial military complex for weaponry was a theft from all of humanity. And when you think, like Nikolaos brought up those monster buildings that are going up, this the millions, even the billions that are spent there. And when you think that in our own, well, my own country anyway, there's a proposal to increase armaments by $54 billion, we realize that the lords of form, the Black Lodge, the fear, the greed, the hate, all those things, they are in control here. And that money must not be allowed to be stolen from humanity to falsely give the image of false protection through weaponry that can destroy everybody. This is a huge sin and has to be stopped inwardly, by our own efforts. We must see, the attracting money for hierarchical purposes, meditation that we do every Sunday, seeing the money, the flowing golden substance flow out of the hands of the forces of materialism and into the hands of the forces of light. This is indispensable because the whole problem is one of money. He says the crux of the world situation is the financial one. So all these meditations feed into each other. We cannot allow that to happen.
There is something I remember that DK said, that because the responsibility of invocation is upon humanity. And it was related to some things which are like desperate in upon earth. But DK said that if you only would call help, that some of the things are not too difficult to solve, but you must call help. And that is at least something what we can do, that we will call the help, that in our meditation work we stand now as a front of invocation, that we will call the help. There is something now, I guess, about these questions of sharing. If you, Michael, now I will have those quotations and
Okay.
you can
Okay.
go forth.
By the way, I just want to say, that the ASK program, ASK, that we've been sponsoring 5 days, sometimes 6 days a week, is all about our responsibility to truly call forth the help that humanity needs. So those of you who want to participate, it's usually 1 week 5 a.m. GMT, another week 5 p.m., then 5 a.m. GMT. If it's at all convenient for you, and even if it's not convenient, if you want to participate in these meditations, you are very, very welcome, and you are doing something that Master DK wants to see done. So anyway, I will read this, and now, Tuija, do you want to have a discussion afterwards or after we do several of these?
I think if anyone would like to say after the thoughts, I think that would be nice. You can look how that is better.
Or if after a while, we can comment on
however
all
you
of them.
choose.
Well, anyway, this is about when the Christ will return, so that's the major event on our planet, isn't it? That and the externalization of the hierarchy and the coming in of the soul of the planet. So for what period of time must we endure, struggle, and fight? The reply comes with clarity. He, the Christ, will come unfailingly when a measure of peace has been restored, when the principle of sharing is at least in process of controlling economic affairs, and when the churches have begun to clean house, and of course that includes all of our spiritual organizations as well. Then he can and will come. Then the kingdom of God will be publicly recognized and will no longer be a thing of dreams and of ideals. From the externalization of the hierarchy, page 616. Anybody want to offer a thought on that? Or if not, we can read several of these. And there you go, Michael. Michael, go ahead, please.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for leading this webinar, Tuija and Michael. I found a reference recently, and I can't tell you which book, which page, but not only was the churches identified as needing to clean house, but also politics.
Very much
Exactly.
so. Very much so. And boy, do we see that now. What's exposed now is lying in political discourse. And really, that really has to stop. Yeah. Those organizations.
It's been going on for much too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The line by both major political parties has been going on for much too long.
Yeah. And only with an educated public is it, do the politicians feel more secure to say things as they are. And so education is at the bottom of everything. If you have a demographic, if you have a public that responds only with the solar plexus and selfishly, what can you do? Then when you tell the truth, you get a revolution. So, all right, it has to be done. But education. Yeah, go ahead, dear. Go ahead.
Michael, thank you for this point, because when we think about also the public opinion and also the common opinion in spiritual groups, there is the attitude which is negative towards politics. And that has to be changed as well, because like the negative attitude towards money, those so many deep-rooted ideas, dead ideas and thoughts about what is money, what is politics, has to change, that we understand that the politics is actually to taking care of the common things. And we have to support every single disciple who is going into the politics, because that is a huge work for them. First they have to fight against the dead ideas in the politics, politician
Political
arena.
arena, you know, yeah,
Political arena.
yeah.
And then they have to fight also for these new ideas which are more based upon spiritual values, soul values. And when we think about the majority of the disciples is upon the second ray, how difficult that is for the second ray people, even though they will have something on the first ray. But still, these I think that the jungle, what has to be ripped, is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So we also should support the politicians in and the new growing disciples towards that they would have somebody behind them, because there is so much, what I have seen, so thick negative attitude to politics.
You know, there's been such a sixth-ray
This is
attitude for such a long time, right, Michael? This Piscean sixth-ray
yeah.
attitude has closed out the economic considerations and the political considerations. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
This is where a central political party who represents the middle 60 to 80% of the population would come in.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the third party emerging. Basically, you find it's going to be the party of the new group of world servers. And, you know, its time is only beginning. But when people get too frustrated with the extremism of the extreme left and extreme right, this party will emerge, the party for humanity. So this, you know, comes from, and that's why DK rather insists that we be very positive in our work, and that we should not waste time with extreme criticism of the left and the right. That criticism will occur anyway. Meanwhile, we build in the center. Yep.
I think the criticism, which is a huge glamour, just contributes to the problem rather than creates a solution.
That's right.
Well, that's where he wants our attention to be put, into the building process. And it is, you know, this is a new group of world servers, a Taurus fourth ray organization, linking the past, present, and future, and building into the light. This is what we all have to do. Thank you, Michael.
It becomes a synthetic solution, gathering together all the different departments of society and focusing on a variety of solutions, if you will, to address the wide range of issues. It's not just focusing on one question.
No. All the seven ashrams are represented. All the seven ashrams are represented.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. Okay, is there anybody else that has wants to say anything about this one?
Leia from Australia.
Okay, dear. Let's see what we have here. Hold on.
Leia from Australia.
Let's get this underway. Leia, go ahead.
Thank you, Michael, to you. Just affirming the ideas that you have been presenting in the last moments. I think that the education of the politicians and the media, that humanity really wants people at their core. They really want leaders who are able to negotiate, to compromise, to do away with those words where they actually name the other people as the opposition. That has to stop. It has to be about that joining in the center for the good of all. And it's a very simple idea to get rid of the oppositional military, agenda, really, because it's in the same line. And I can hear that happening in Australia. The conversations that are going on, I think the people are demanding it.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah.
And I think that,
go ahead.
There is one new thing what is appearing. Have they happened in your countries? But like here in Finland, there was a few months ago the public official asking forgiveness, apology for war children, how they were treated, that is something which I see is the sign of Christ impulse or Christ presence in the politics, that people are officially from the government side addressing some deep, difficult, painful issues, and taking now the side that not trying to put something behind the corners, but taking that on the table and saying this is wrong or that was wrong, we apologize, even though they are not anymore the people who did it, but just to address to that part of the people who have been pushed down, and this has been too unpleasant to look into that. And is that how much that is needed? I think somewhat it is needed that we voice, that we recognize that, but we cannot dwell in that. We have to move now forward in the humanity.
Yeah, I just want to say, in response to this reconciliation idea, and also here to what Leah said, the new approach to the fourth ray is indispensable. The ray of polarization is the sixth ray, which has been with us and which tends to demonize the opposition. But in the fourth ray it says, move on apace, and you will see, not the opposition, not this and that, not the fighting forces, but a heart which rests upon the center. So, the fourth ray is coming in strongly. It will be in 1925, bringing in, 2025, an influx of many fourth ray souls. And he tells us that Libra is getting stronger and stronger in the planetary horoscope. So the energies we need in order to create reconciliation and not to split the apparent opposition, but to see them as necessary sides of two different, of one larger inclusive perspective, to recognize the values that are trying to be expressed, often badly expressed, but to bring all those things together into one sort of unity. These energies are coming and will be at our disposal. So is this another one then, Tuija? Yeah, so anyway, this is just a simple statement. The principle of sharing will be recognized, will be a recognized, motivating concept of the new civilization. It's just so clearly stated. And of course, look, in our own lives, we're told we don't have the right to invoke that which we don't share. Okay? So this principle of sharing has to run through our lives on all the different levels. There are people who withhold knowledge from others. There are people who withhold kindness and positive emotion from others. And of course, there are people who withhold things, the things you need to live from others. This withholding attitude has to end. It's based on fear. It's based on egotism. It's based on a mistaken understanding of human relationships. It has to end in our life, and then we'll be much more effective in every way.
There is some thought form which has been built in West lately after the wars, that everything costs. Whatever we serve or do, it has a price. And that is something what is so unnatural for the soul, because soul is not putting price for that if I want to help for you or in something. But the thinking process which is taught now from the very early stages in the West is that whatever we do, it has a price. I don't do this anymore if that is not well paid. And that is some kind of plague. Is plague that the disease what was during the war?
A plague, yeah. Clay.
right. It is like a blade in the mind that it should go. We should just freely give as the Christ is the principle of that human being, to give, to share.
You know, Tuija,
And
what
it
I...
does not matter.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, please. And then I'll say what I have to say.
It does not matter is that paid or not, because that the first step is just to give.
So, look, you know, this could be put in this way. The monetization of service, the monetization of the gestures of goodwill. And what it means is that this great second aspect, which is representing the Christ, has fallen down into the third aspect. So everything in terms of love and goodwill is calculated according to the third aspect of money. Now, of course, we have to serve with money, absolutely, because it makes possible, creatively possible, all those things which must appear for the welfare of the many. But to monetize our service at all times, as some people have been taught to do, what's it worth to me in terms of money? How much is this worth in terms of money? You cannot capture the value of the second aspect within the third aspect. So that, you know, that has to be dealt with, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have another...
There is Nicolaus.
Okay, go ahead.
Nicolaus has.
Okay, Nick.
Well,
Yeah.
there is also a first aspect in this issue of money, and it comes as a second stage. Let's suppose that somebody has monetized everything, now has accumulated an account of money. So this is power. This power entails the one that has this power to order to other people to execute some things for him or her. This power, the fact that other people are obeying to your demand or to your request or whatever, and so they are doing, making effort to satisfy you. And the question now here is this: a person, a man, has two, let's say, great powers. One is time, life, lifetime. This is it, and the other one, the ability to make others obey to his request. And the question here is this: what do we request from the others to do for our own selves? Regardless if one person or 1 million people. This is the little secret of what we were speaking before about education. Education to make people learn that they have this power in their heads, regardless if they can ask from just one person to do something for them, or from 1 million to do something for them. But the question always is the same: what is the quality of what you're asking the others to do for you?
Exactly. And does it come from the solar plexus, or does it come from the heart? See, the heart is the group organ, and the general welfare of many is involved. But if it's for your own personal little self, well, this is how money is used today. And in the meditation, he tells us to look at how money is used today, largely for purely personal and selfish purposes. Education has to change all that. We have to realize who we are and what our fate and destiny will be, and that's where we esotericists come into the picture, giving the big picture, the quality of the hidden vision. Right. Money and power, Ray 1 and 3, and Ray 2 has to be somehow evoked in all of that. Okay, do we have another one here, Tuija? Is that it? Okay. The common people.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you want to read it? Or do you want me to?
I think, yes, you are nice.
Okay, whatever. Okay. The common people are today awakening to the importance and responsibility of government. It is therefore realized by the hierarchy that before the cycle of true democracy, as it essentially exists and will eventually demonstrate, can come into being, the education of the masses in cooperative statesmanship, in economic stabilization through right sharing, and in clean political interplay is imperatively necessary. Externalizations. Well, you see, this is exactly what some of us have been saying. These points have been made. And the solution will come through the awakening of the person in the street, the average individual awakening to true values which are not overcomplicated by the people who are more, let's just say, intelligent in a certain way and are manipulating the general public. So the true democracy of hierarchy is on its way, but education is imperative. Economic stabilization, that's what we're talking about right now, through right sharing, and its goodwill is love in action. Okay, thoughts on this, anyone? Or Tuija, if you have thoughts here.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Anybody have anything?
I don't see anybody
any
now.
Further to say? Okay.
So we can go further.
Yeah.
Do you
Wait, Alex. Hold on, we've got Alex. Alex, please go ahead.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I just wanted to affirm and confirm that the reason we're here is because we want to build. We want to focus on the light, because I hear so much, and especially if I say anything about democracy, I keep hearing so much about, why this is happening. What's the causes behind the whole world situation and all of that darkness. And you did say, didn't you, that we need to be aware of these causal factors, but it's not that we give our attention to that. It's that we really do have to invoke and put these meditations and these things into practice. I mean, I just want to confirm that how we focus on the positive, because it's been suggested to me that I'm naive, that I'm not aware, but we are aware, aren't we?
Yes.
It's just where that focus goes, and I feel the strength of that, talking about it here, just to make sure.
Right, but there is something which is also that to have stamina. It is easy to talk about 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, but do we have stamina to really go forth? Because it needs also the carrying this load. 2 years, 5 years, now to the end of the Forerunners, there is coming a weight upon these decisions. And I don't know, am I straight too much in that, but my opinion is that the world group has not done enough. My opinion is that we actually has to do more now.
This is why I'm thinking about focus and will, because the focus, there are so many things that are drawing our focus and scattering it, and the emotion and the feelings running high, and a lot of that has to do with, the evil and the causes and this sort of thing.
Understand. Yes, exactly.
So and we don't really, it's like we're not quite clear what we're supposed to be doing about this. That's the sense that I get.
Right.
Or people's emotions are scattered, and the reaction, perhaps. I don't know. What do you think?
Right, and this it is when we think about very critical areas where are two parties or even more parties fighting with each other, there is something what has to be recognized, but we cannot dwell in them. We have to look now what is the next step to solve these continuous frictions which are in human life, and we are needed for that middle point to really bring forth these energies, that this change is also possible. That I think that sometimes in spiritual groups we don't see our role clearly, how much we are needed. There is Karen. Do you want to continue, Alex? There is Karen anyway who wants to say something.
No, that's good.
Thank
I'm
you,
good.
Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Alex.
Yeah.
Karen, go ahead, please.
Yes, I just wanted to respond to the common people are today awakening to the importance and responsibility of government. I think that, what I see in our country is the testing of our system of government, the testing of the press, and I think people really are waking up to some of, what are the pillars of democracy. So I think that it's happening before us, and it's kind of amazing. I mean, we see the lack that has, I think for the generation behind me, that's happened with the lack of civics in schools, and how people are so unaware of some of the, pillars of democracy, you could say. So I think we're being tested in a way that, it's an awakening that's happening. At least that's how I'm seeing it at this point.
I think this is a worldwide phenomena which is having its focus at the moment in the United States, but it's all about the four freedoms when I think of it. And the freedom of speech is the very first thing involving the testing of the press, and also what is a lie and what is truth. That's a huge discrimination which is now taking place. So in my view, whatever system or peoples or nation supports the four freedoms is supporting as much of the will of Shambhala as can be given at this time. That's what DK basically said. So, our freedom of speech issue in a Gemini country in the United States, a second ray sign, it's a huge test, and we have yet to see how all of this is going to work out. We know what forces are released all over the world that want to stifle the four freedoms, and for them we have to stand. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Well, dear, I wonder if do we have
there are not many.
if we have a little.
I think. Yeah.
Okay,
I think that we have only few now.
Okay, so you want to read a few more things, okay? So what then must be done?
This is.
Yeah? Do you want to read this?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
What then must be done apart from the education of the coming generations and the need for sharing and for a free circulation of all essential commodities? We see how very seventh ray, how very Aquarian this ideal is. The cause of this evil way of living is very simple. It is a product of past wrong educational methods, of competition, and the facility with which the helpless and weak can be exploited. No one group is responsible, as certain fanatical ideologists might lead the ignorant to suppose. Our period is simply one in which human selfishness has come to its climax and must either destroy humanity or be brought intelligently to an end. Whoa, what a paragraph, So, the stakes are very high, and every once in a while, DK, that nice second ray master, lets us know that we're really playing for keeps at this time as far as the human race is concerned.
Yes, we can let this power of the thought just rest in us, and we can continue.
Yes. So a little more then, this period of adjustment offers the opportunity to effect drastic and deeply needed changes and the establishing of a new economic order. Master R behind this, of course, based on the contribution of each nation to the whole, according to its soul rays, right? The sharing of the fundamental necessities of life and the wise pooling of all resources for the benefit of everybody, plus a wise system of distribution. Such a plan is feasible. This is an Aquarian plan. And it's very much against the kind of selfishness which is still prevalent in so many quarters among so many advanced people who are not yet truly spiritual. I mean, this is it. It tells us what we must do. And how, and above all, for people of our types, how we must think, how we must write, how we must meditate, how we must empower thought forms which carry these ideas. We are asked to really believe in the esoteric effectiveness of our work. We must really get behind it esoterically, because we cannot expect even the average intelligent person to do that. But we have been trained to do this. And so when DK says triangles, when he says reappearance of the Christ, when he says attracting money for hierarchical purposes, and of course you add to this the whole attack on glamour and the evocation of the souls of nations, we have to go at it and do it esoterically. We can do that. So is this the last one, dear?
Yes.
It is interesting to note that the cycle now being inaugurated in the world is that of growth through sharing, and that advanced humanity can now share the work, the responsibility, and the trained reticence of the hierarchy, whilst paralleling this and simultaneously the mass of men are learning the lessons of economic sharing. And, my brothers, in this lies the sole hope of the world. Now, speaking of the opposite for a moment, and I'm not going to attack any system here, but DK said, quote unquote, and this is something for us to really think about, capitalism has emerged and wrecked the world, quote unquote. Now, obviously, that's rampant, rapacious, greedy capitalism, not the proper manipulation of money which is needed under Master R and, the entire 3rd and 7th grade department. But the greed of capitalism has emerged and wrecked the world. This is what he says. It's such an arresting comment. You just left there in your tracks pondering, what he means. Okay.
And in the money meditation, when we are asked to visualize the money as the golden substance, and that is the key thing about thinking about money, like Nicholas was pointing out, it is related to the power. So this power is also in our hands every single day, even though we have credit cards, whatever, that is the golden substance from the sun. It is related to that great being in whom we have our being and move, or how it is said.
Live and move and have our being. Yeah.
Live and move and have our being. That substance is manifested as money. So that is power of the will, how we can build for everybody. And it is good thing to check oneself. The money that we have, is it related to fears in us, or is it related to the hope in us?
Mm-hmm.
Every time when we have the money, how much little it is, it does not matter, because behind that is a spiritual law and spiritual rule, that if we give and if we share, that is a law that it will come back and we don't have to fear. That is something what we can do. It is a one immediate step that everybody can do, as Alex was pointing out. And now I want to, or is there anyone?
I think we should get on, dear, and maybe have our little focus. And there is a couple of things from Alex where she said, following Karen's comment, democracy and protecting our inalienable rights, education is crucial. The idea here is society begins with me, and teach our children well. Now there's a link that that Alex has, and Brett, if she wants to share this link, does she put it in the chat box? Is that it? Are you there? Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
okay.
The link is there. Anybody can copy it out. Highlight the question and copy it out of the message that Alex sent.
Yeah, would it be the chat box that where that would be found? Because I'm trying to copy it.
In the questions box. All they have to do is highlight the question.
Okay.
It shows up below, and they should be able to copy it.
Okay. All right. I'm trying that right now, and I'm just trying to see whether I have succeeded in doing that.
If not, I can put it in the chat box.
No, no, there it is. No, I have not succeeded in doing this. So maybe it should be.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Chat box. Okay, very good. Yeah, please in
there
the
we
chat
go.
box. Thank you. All right, but I think Tuija, that we maybe now we've established the principles. We'll try to keep going.
Well, I just, I'm sorry that I want to disturb us a little bit about this sharing idea, how it is unbalanced.
Oh, look at this. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so that that we, disciples, the group who is there, who can work inwardly, that we would teach also around us people not to sleep, because now it is the time not to sleep. This sharing is totally unbalanced. We are dying because we are wasting. It is wasted as much. It was like 2022 million tons of food what we are every year wasting. And in these countries which needs help, there is something like the same amount of food would make the difference.
Yeah.
And that is the corruption of values that we have. And to those kind of areas we have to put our target. And please do not be hurt what I put there. There are billions of children who are trying to find their food in the rubbish. So let us ask from ourselves, how many children do I kill? Because of that I am not taking now actions to do all I can in the way of changing the thought forms. It does not have to be that we all go into the marketplaces or we go on the barricades and shout that, but this inner work what has to now get more power and more dynamic action to function. So we know that the money, how it is put forward, we know that the money is disappearing in the middle, that there is only coins left for those who really need the help. Now, when we are thinking about these organizations, I would suggest everybody a few things. That you will find the organization, the line that you are going to donate and help now physically also give something. Here is the list of some of the organizations. We can send these for you, but you know, it is so easy to Google and just to go to one's local Red Cross. They have lines for this famine issue directly, or other issues. But now I wish to suggest something. Would you like, any of you who is now present, to participate in this kind of idea, to fast 1 day per month or whatever you would choose, and that money what is saved from that you regularly would put along those lines, for instance. It is only a suggestion, that if you would like to participate this way, and if we could create this kind of tiny nucleus in that fasting consciously for our brothers and sisters who do not have possibility for having their daily meal, that we would participate in our consciousness to walk with them, to give the support, continuous support now. And in that sense dedicate your soul with them, with us, with one humanity. That is one thing what we could do. If you would be interested to do so, please send your note to Global Triangles and tell your period of time you would want to do that monthly basis. Also, if you want to participate like half a year like this, or just to put that into the coming future, how long. So this is suggestion. And I am going to, actually I think that in church it is starting tomorrow, the fasting time for before the Easter, the purification time. But we can add this to this idea to fast also until Easter, to put our consciousness action to the issue that we have been talking about. Is there anything that you would like to say, Michael, or anybody else?
Well, this is a very conscious approach in which we feel more intensely with the unfortunate people of the world who are suffering so intensely. Look, there's not one of us over our thousands of lives who have not starved to death. Not one of us. We have been through just about everything. And this awakens in us the compassion. But compassion, what did Master Moria say? Something like pity is a puddle. Okay, unless we turn it into compassion and turn it into action, then pity is a puddle. So let's consciously, I would say at least once a month, maybe some will want to do more, but that's up to you. And where you send the money that you think you save is up to you. But let's take some action to make this a consciously, deeply felt participation in the lives of those people who cannot help themselves. So I think it's a very good initiative, Tuija, and I support that. And I hope there are those among us.
And we will talk about our participation.
Yeah. So you see globaltriangles@gmail.com. So that's where you can send your intention, because sometimes putting down your intention, putting it in writing, helps to affirm it. It's so easy. It can be fairly painful for people not used to it, not to eat for a day, but just imagine these people not eating for a week or longer. It's terrible, and we've got to do something. Okay. Go ahead, dear.
Right. So now I think we start our meditation. I just look if there are no hands.
I think we could
start
the meditation. I think so.
Yeah. So, and again, we start with those powerful ideas. In this little alignment, we have a moment that I leave, a silent moment for everybody to work in their own ways, to invoke and put in words. And let us now remember that what DK puts also, that he for whom the whole world waits has said that whatsoever shall be asked in his name, and with faith in the response will see it accomplished. So when we put our invocation or prayer forward, let us do that in his name and really practice this, because it will be accomplished. It is a magical process. So Let us start this by gathering together in his name, by knowing what he promised. Wherever there are two or more gathered in his name, there he will be. We have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya, be with us. Me olemme kokoontuneet sinun nimesi, Herra Maitreya, ole läsnä meissä. And let us welcome his presence. Toivotamme hänen läsnäolonsa tervetulleeksi. And let us align with our triangle and triangles. And I will let 1 minute silence to invoke your group members with love. Pidämme 1 minuutin hiljaisuuden, kutsumme kolmio jäseniämme rakkaudella. So now let us do this kind of practice what DK is asking to do every morning. That link with our soul and with the Master DK. That is forming a triangle of light between our head center, the soul, and with Master DK. Ja muodostakaamme valonkolmio, joka muodostuu pääkeskuksemme, sielumme ja mestari DK:n kanssa. Let us hold this firmly in our consciousness. Pidämme tuota vakaasti tietoisuudessamme. We keep this idea and then we see this triangle being full of light. Näemme nyt tuon kolmion täynnä valoa. We see the base on the mental plane. Me näemme kannan mentaalisella tasolla. And the lower apex is touching our top of the head. Ja tuo alempi kärki koskettaa päällälakeamme. We see from that triangle pouring down a stream of light in golden color. Ja me näemme tuosta kolmiosta virtaavan valon, joka on kullan keltaista väriltään. And it is flooding the whole body. Se täyttää koko kehomme. And bathe in it as you would bathe in the waters of the sea. Kylve tuossa valossa, kuten kylpisit meren vesissä. See it permeating every part of your physical equipment. Näe sen läpäisevän fyysisen käyttövälineesi jokaisen osan. We hold the consciousness steadily in the mind and not in the head. Ylläpidämme tietoisuutemme vakaasti mielessämme emmekä päässämme. Having the clear contact with the spiritual triplicity, which is that which hovers over the square and radiates the energy of light into the waiting field of active thought. Pidämme elävän yhteyden kolminaisuuteen, joka on se, joka leijailee neliön yläpuolella ja säteilee valon energiaa aktiivisen ajatuksen odottavaan kenttään. We keep our living connection with the members of the group by love and also now extend it with the group of our triangles and also with the group of the people who has gathered together in this meditation at the moment. Me pidämme yllä rakkaudella yhteyden kaikkien kolmion jäseniimme, mutta myös laajennamme sitä tähän ryhmään, joka nyt on läsnä. Visualize the flow of love and goodwill passing between all of the members. Visualisoimme rakkauden ja hyvän tahdon virran, joka kulkee kaikkien jäsenten välillä. This energy is flowing into the square-like etheric field of the earth. Ja tämä energia virtaa neliömäiseen eetterikenttään, maaplaneetan eetterikenttään. And by doing that we strengthen the global network of golden triangles. Ja täten me vahvistamme kultaisten kolmioiden globaalista verkostoa. And now let us focus with our work of the emergency. Ja nyt keskittäydymme tähän hätätilaan. In your own words, in the name of Him, please work 3 minutes in silence. Ja omalla tavalla hänen nimessään työskentelee 3 minuutin ajan. Then you offer consciously your invocation to the hands of the great ones. Tarjoamme tietoisesti kutsumme suurten olentojen käsiin. And let us in our active creative imagination change the image of sharing, this unbalanced image of sharing, ja tietoisessa luovassa mielikuvassamme muuntakaamme tuo epätasapainoinen jako. That in the other part of the world we have too much. Toisessa puolella maailmaa meillä on liian paljon. And the other part too little. Ja toinen puoli, joka on liian vähän. We realize, as the members of the new group of world servers, we have to project the answer, the solution, to the rest of the world. Uuden maailman palvelijoiden ryhmänä meidän täytyy projisoida vastaus muulle maailmalle. We have to send forth the next step. Meidän tulee lähettää seuraava askel eteenpäin. The new group of world servers is the Asna center of the planetary logos. Uusi maailman palvelijoiden ryhmä on planeettalogoksen Asna-keskus, where we direct our thought, their energy flows. Minnekä käännämme meidän ajatuksemme sinne energiavirtaa. We carry our thought with strength, with joy, with hope. Ja kannamme ajatuksemme voimalla, ilolla ja toiveella. We know this can be done, sillä tiedämme, että tämä voidaan tehdä. And we give our hand. We give the waters of light. We give the waters of life. Me annamme apumme ja tuomme elämän veden. And in that sense we are representing the new world, the coming age of Aquarius. Water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. Siinä mielessä me olemme uudesta ajasta, me olemme veden kantaja. Elämän vesi minä olen, vuodatettu esiin janoisia varten. Let us radiate the Aquarian Christ. Säteilkäämme vesimies Kristusta. Through our triangle work, kolmioverkostomme kautta, through this group, the power which will make all things new. Tuota voimaa, joka tekee kaiken uudeksi. And let us invoke together the Christ in the midst of these four immediate, the countries which have the immediate need. Näkäämme Kristus kaikissa näissä maissa, jossa on välitön hätä. South Sudan, Etelä-Sudan, Jemen, Somalia, Nigeria, Nigeria, in our imagination, let us see the government of Christ taking the control of the corrupted governments. Ja näkäämme, kuinka Kristuksen hallitus ottaa haltuunsa korruptoituneet hallitukset. And in our midst we give the vote for the government of the Christ. Ja mielessämme me annamme äänemme Kristuksen hallitukselle. In our minds we see the inner change and reorganization. Sisäisyydessä me näemme uudelleen rakentumisen. The rulership of the Christ taking over in whole humanity. Ja Kristuksen hallitus ottaa haltuunsa koko ihmiskunnan. And let us say very strong and have a strong visualization how the triangular structure is streaming into the square-like structure in politics. Ja näkäämme kauniisti valuvan, sointuvan kolmiomainen rakenne, joka virtaa neliömäiseen poliittiseen rakenteeseen. And into that let us sound and meditate the great invocation. Ja tuohon laatuun rakenteeseen lausukaamme ja mietiskelkäämme suuri invokaatio. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And let us see at least 100,000 living golden triangles functioning within the square-like etheric body of Earth and transmuting it into triangular. Näkäämme ainakin 100 000 elävää kolmiota, jotka toimivat maaplaneetan nelimäisessä eetterikehossa ja muuntaa sen kolminaiseksi. And thank you, dearest friends. Kiitämme teitä, kaikki rakkaat ystävämme. We will go ahead to the next step to humanity. Ja jatkamme seuraavaan askeleeseen ihmiskunnassa. We will not dwell in the darkness, we bring light. Emme möyhi pimeydessä, vaan tuomme valoon. So, if you want to participate this fasting initiative, let us know. Send your message into globaltriangles@gmail.com. Jos haluatte osallistua tähän meidän pienen uuteen asiaan, jossa voitte osallistua tähän nälkään, lähettäkää viestinne globaltriangles@gmail.com. And here we have a list, some of the organization. We will bless them all their efforts, every single effort which is trying to do now the master's work on humanity. Me seuraamme kaikkia näitä organisaatioita, jotka pyrkivät osallistumaan ja tekemään hierarkian työtä.
And tonight, Souls of Nations, invocation of the Soul of Nations at 5 p.m. You can use your Ask Comprehensive link. It will be good for all broadcasts. And then tomorrow night, evening, 5 p.m. GMT, invoking or asking money for hierarchical purposes. Please do join us if you can. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody. Thank you for your participation, thank you for your thoughts, and thank you for your strength. Shall we open?
Well, I think it's okay.
That everybody can say goodbye to everybody. Now everybody is open.
Thank you. Blessings.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Love.
Love to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye to everyone. Thank you.
Blessings to all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay. Okay.